Today's guest is someone who's redefining how founders and companies think about LinkedIn, not as a resume platform, but as a true growth engine. Joining us is Shay Thieberg. With a background in psychology and years of hands-on experience, Shay blends behavioral science with marketing strategy to help professionals build authority, trust, and consistent growth online. From developing frameworks like Return on LinkedIn to training hundreds of companies worldwide, he's at the forefront of what actually works on the platform today. Shay, welcome to the show. Shay, welcome to the show. Most people still treat LinkedIn like a digital resume. Can you talk a little bit more about your experience with LinkedIn and then that mindset shift that you're starting to see founders take, but maybe are not looking at it as a true growth channel just yet?
Sure thing. So yes, LinkedIn established and started as a go-to platform for CVs, resumes, applying for jobs. But ever since Microsoft acquired them in 2016, LinkedIn became a powerhouse for B2B marketing, B2B sales. So I think if you are a service provider, a small business or a startup, or even an organization, this is your go-to platform to establish your brand awareness. Let me dive into quickly to some really cool data. So 67% of LinkedIn users are not using TikTok. Yeah, 45% of them are not using Instagram and 32% of them are not using Facebook. So we're looking at a whole different type of audiences. Also, the users on LinkedIn are making much more money, much more educated, decision makers within their companies, and the platform all around is generating much more B2B opportunities than Twitter, Google, and Facebook combined.
Wow.
So we're looking at a real powerhouse to generate awareness, trustworthiness, authority for your business. So as a first glimpse, I think those are the main pillars that people that are not utilizing LinkedIn till today should look at.
Yeah, that's some really interesting stats there. So often too with LinkedIn, it's one of those platforms that, like you said, prior to, I guess, Microsoft buying it, it was one of those that you would go on when you were looking for a job or you were looking to hire someone. And then we started to see people creating and sharing content on there where they were maybe doing a mini blog or they were sharing their feedback within their industry. And it really helped to gain that founder-led marketing. They always say, even with B2C, right? You buy from your friends, you buy from people you know, or a referral or word of mouth. Like it's kind of translating that into the B2B space, right? Where it gives you like an opportunity to get to know the company on a little bit different of a level, or even the experience that employees are having within that company. It goes a long way when you hear like their point of view. So really excited to dive into LinkedIn. I think it's a platform that we're seeing grow significantly. And like you said, there's a lot of money in LinkedIn, there's a lot of decision makers in LinkedIn, and it's definitely a platform that I think businesses need to spend more time on. The stat about TikTok and Instagram is really interesting because I think a lot of times, especially for maybe small businesses, they think, let me go start up an Instagram account or let me start a Facebook. And it might not necessarily be where your audience is. So that's a really great point there.
Also, I think for most businesses today, LinkedIn can serve as the go-to platform for early on. It's like choosing your first Pokemon or something.
Yeah.
Like it's giving you better hiring because it's the number one platform for hiring. It's
Right.
giving you an amazing platform to build trust. And I want to shed a light on it for a second. LinkedIn is currently ranked as the second most cited source in AI chatbots.
Yes.
So people are looking for you online. Now they're looking at in Google. It's already automatically through Gemini or Claude or Perplexity, ChatGPT. You can appear in those search engines just by utilizing and enhancing your LinkedIn activity. So that's a go-to platform. And this is where people making decisions, the important people.
Yeah, that's a great point. I actually was reading about that too. And, if you want to show up in AI search, where you should be creating and sharing your content. And LinkedIn, especially too from an employee advocacy point of view, is really important. So I think a lot of brands, not just sharing the message from a brand page, but actually having your employees share content can really benefit your business too. There's so many great opportunities there. Before we dive too much into LinkedIn, I want to talk a little bit about that psychology angle. So I know you have a strong psychology background, and I'm very curious, and this is always something that's very interesting on the show about consumer behavior. So how does behavioral science really influence what works on LinkedIn today?
First thing first, I'm a certified psychologist, but I'm doing social psychology. So I really like to dive into phenomena. I really like to dive into what drive people. So I'm not a therapist, just to clarify, which is super important. I'm not going to ask you how how you feel about your LinkedIn. I'm going to help you figure it out how you can utilize it. So I really like to combine between marketing and psychology. So I think the go-to psychology effect that we can look at is urgency versus long cycles. So if we're looking at B2C, most of the effects that are working on us are impulsive, are immediate reactions, stuff that going to make you take your credit card out of your pocket and make a purchase. But when we're looking on B2B, we need to build trust. We need to consider that it is a long cycle, much larger deals usually, and the decision making board is much larger. I think the average is 8 people involved in a B2B. So the first thing first is that you should consider that the cycle is longer. So you're working on a whole different level of psychological effect. Trust, trustworthiness, authority, how people perceive you. So you want to be out there constantly and not only when the time is right, which is what B2C is doing by retargeting you and meeting you late at night when you are scrolling through the night. It's not going to work in B2B. So this is just like a first glimpse.
Yeah, that's some great advice. So I think it sounds like, especially with B2B marketing, it's more about playing that long game where you're developing that long-term relationship. So that way, if you're creating a lot of value for your audience and they decide to follow along with your business, then if they do need to, maybe outsource something to another company or work with another company, your company becomes front of mind for them. So it's getting in front of the right people, having those multiple touch points.
There is no easy leads on LinkedIn. Like
Right.
clients reaching out to me and like, hey, I need leads, not on LinkedIn. It's not going to work. It's going to cost you a lot of money. I don't want to waste your money. It just simply not going to work. And also to clients first entering LinkedIn, I always like to tell them you should leap over the notion that you shouldn't share your secrets. And you should start putting your value out there. Don't be afraid. Even if you're going to teach someone how to change a car engine, at the end of the line, when he's going to need to change his engine, he don't have the right tools and he didn't do it enough times to make it perfect. So he will approach you. And this is what I do with my clients and for myself. I'm putting myself out there as the go-to expert. I'm sharing everything that I know and people are seeing me over and over again. So I'm associating my name with a very strong field, profession. And this is what I'm recommending also other people to do.
Yeah, that's great advice, especially for businesses or people that are looking to get into founder-led marketing. I actually had a publisher on my show recently, and we were discussing how social media, sometimes people are a little bit nervous to share all of their secrets because they think, okay, well then why would they buy from me? Why would they work for me? But it's actually a very small percentage of people take your advice and do and implement all of it. You actually are asserting yourself then as the expert in that field. So if they're doing something that, you've shared and you know how to do it and they have a question or they need help with something or they need you to oversee it, you are then their go-to person. That really helps to further that relationship with them. It's helpful to give your audience real actionable takeaways because then they know who the expert is to you. It adds that layer of credibility, I think, for a lot of people.
And by the way, just as a tip for our listeners, LinkedIn is now prioritizing also content that was published a long time ago. Sometimes I'm getting likes from about posts that I posted 3 weeks ago, a month ago. Now I'm seeing those posts. They are mostly posts that I'm being seen at. No AI generated graphics or crazy carousels or infographics.
Right.
Videos of me talking in front of a camera, selfies or group pictures. LinkedIn is in favor of people who's putting themselves out there. Whenever we see a face, with time, it will become more familiar. So again, my go-to move is put yourself out there, share some photos. LinkedIn doesn't have to be that personal, but it should be authentic. So, generated AI graphic won't help people to trust you.
Right. And that also goes into my next question. A lot of people may feel like they're posting consistently and they're not seeing the results from the content. What would you say is the difference between maybe just creating that AI content? I think it's very easy to go into AI and to say, okay, draft me up a nice LinkedIn post or put together an infographic, like you said. What differentiates that content between, okay, we're creating a bunch of content and sharing it versus actually building authority on LinkedIn?
I really like to tell to my students and when I'm teaching, whenever you're going to stop thinking about posting your next piece of content and you'll start sharing your thoughts,
Okay.
then it will be much more easier. I'll give you a quick example. I was working with the founder and CEO of Waze. We all use Waze, right? So he was launching his book, Uri, and he was driving in a taxi in New York City on his way to NYU to deliver a lecture. And he's sending me like a WhatsApp image. Look how annoying the driver is using Google Maps. Now, he's the founder, he's no longer the CEO, he's the former CEO, and he's still irritated by why users are not using Waze, which is super familiar, right? So instead of writing another post like I was delighted to participate in NYU lecture, we took this picture and we elaborated about how him seeing the driving and interviewing the driver without him knowing he's the founder of Waze. Why are you not using Waze? And then we mentioned the NYU lecture. So what I'm trying to say that people want to see moments. Like if you're on a way to a meeting with the client, the meeting with the client is not important. What's important, how you woke up in the morning, or maybe something personal happened to you. Now you don't have to overshare, but
Right.
those bits and bytes between the moments, the behind the scenes, this is where authenticity comes to life, and this is what people are looking for. So the post with the founder of Waze was booming. People loved it. We told about the NYU lecture just from a different perspective that people can see the little moments in between.
Especially as a user of LinkedIn, right? That's the content that we enjoy seeing ourselves. If we could take off our marketer hat for a second and think about like,
Yeah, it's much more easier, by the way. It's much more easier to just take a picture from the cab of your
yep,
desk, a selfie with a friend, and just share about it. By the way, you can also go to ChatGPT, Claude, whatever you're using, record yourself talking to this AI chatbot
right.
with your own language, let it transcript everything, and then use this one as a text for your post. But if I'm looking about people that are still having the obstacle, they need to do the leap of start posting. Maybe if you don't mind to be in front of camera, one of my go-to tips for those type of people that don't have the time to write content or really compose it, just open up Zoom or any other thing that you're using. I have a really great example from Samsung that I'm working with. Some of the dudes over there just go to the conference room, open up Teams, record themselves talking about the stuff that they want to deliver, about software development programs and stuff, super nerdy stuff that I don't have a clue about, but they are drawing on the wall in the office on the board. And those type of audiences that follow them really love it. This is what's talking about. Speaking to them because they're seeing their experts in live, showcasing themselves, putting themselves out there. It's much more authentic. People can recognize you. So it can also open up a lot of doors, a lot of opportunities. And this is what I'm seeing every time that someone is putting himself out there. With time, opportunities come to life.
Even if you think about watching videos yourself on LinkedIn, and if someone teaches you something and it's a real person, it's not an AI generated image telling me something. If it's a real person walking me through a video, maybe it's not even a long video, it could be 30 seconds long. I'm more likely to share that with someone else and say, hey, this person, really shared this in a great way. If you want to learn how to do something, here's how to do it. And it creates that shareable content too, where you feel like you kind of feel like you know the person that taught you how to do something. And then you've also shared that connection with someone else. So now there's more eyes on their content. I feel like too with LinkedIn, people are a little bit, I don't know, it's a different social platform, right? I think people are very used to sharing selfie videos on Instagram maybe. And now to kind of have a little bit of a mindset shift to start sharing on LinkedIn, it's a little bit different. It seems a little bit more of a polished platform.
Because they're still used to the notion that LinkedIn is all about the suit and ties.
Right.
But it's so funny because a few months ago, I saw like a cool TikTok trend. So I'm taking some stuff from TikTok, trying to bring it into LinkedIn. I
Yeah.
saw something with balloons and I'm like, oh, I have an amazing idea. I'm going to pop balloons every time that I'm going to pop a myth about LinkedIn. So
Wow.
I took like lots of balloons, and every time that I was talking about a myth about LinkedIn, boom, I popped the balloon, and people really liked it. I'm walking in the street, people are, hey, you're the balloon LinkedIn guy, right? So again, I'm associating myself and being familiar with something because I'm repetitive. If I was doing it only once, maybe I'll see a peak with some impressions, some more connections, whatever. But if I'm going to do it on a daily, weekly basis, I'll determine the cadence. People will recognize it.
There are a lot of people online that may consider themselves a LinkedIn expert. Is there anything that you're seeing that LinkedIn experts are getting wrong right now? Is there any bad advice out there that you would recommend not following?
Sure. I have few. First thing first, I'll just say I'm a certified LinkedIn expert
Hmm.
by LinkedIn. I was selected in 2023 as one out of 30 global certified experts. So
Awesome.
everything I'm saying is backed up, just for our listener
Right.
to know. I think everything regarding algorithm,
Okay.
every advice about algorithm from experts, just we are the average Joe. We don't have time to calculate or to strategize too much. It should be simple. It should be easy to do.
Hmm.
So if you are looking at when is the best time to post, there is no one. There is no best time to post. The best time to post is whenever you can stick to your post for a few minutes after you posted it, just to re engage with incoming engagement. So that's my go to tip about how to criticize a little bit all of those tips and hacks. And if I'm really trying to take another thing that I'm really seeing out there, like the use of engagement pods, which are
Okay.
all kind of different of engagement boosters. LinkedIn is really against everything that is overruling the terms and services, which are third-party automations, shortcuts, all kind of those different bots and stuff. It will ruin your profile in the long run. It's all about quality and not quantity. And I want to give you just like a really quick example. Few months ago, I posted what was, in my opinion, one of my best posts ever, most important post ever. Super thorough with amazing tips for a lot of people that can really gain out of stuff from it. And then I got only 26 likes. Okay, it
Hmm.
is bummer also for me, but
Right.
the day after, I'm getting a phone call from the office of one of the biggest companies globally. Everybody familiar with this company. Hey, the CEO saw your post. He wants to have a meeting. I'm meeting him in 2 days from now.
Wow, that's
Now,
awesome.
he didn't like my post. Now, in the morning after, I'm going to the doctor. The doctor is seeing me. Hey, you're the guy from LinkedIn. I saw your post last night. And I was like, you didn't like my post and you saw it? Yeah, I saw it. So, and then I realized the big shots, they don't have time to like your post. They're
Hmm.
consuming, they're seeing, they're collecting data, they're building the character around you. If you look familiar, if you look trustworthiness, they will make the leap and will reach out to you when the time is right. So you want to be out there till the right opportunity is knocking out your door.
Yeah, what a great reminder. I feel like often too with social, it's people are chasing those metrics where it's how many likes they got, how many followers they have. And
I got
one thing.
two amazing stuff out of it without lots of likes from it.
Right, right. And it's not necessarily too about the content piece itself getting a lot of engagement. It might be the actions people take after seeing that content piece. That's a common misconception, I would say, across social media, where people think, oh, their post has to get so many likes, but it doesn't necessarily convert to sales either. So just something to keep in mind. And if someone is starting today and really wanted to generate real business from LinkedIn in the next 90 days, what would you tell them to focus on first? What's that first step?
First thing first, optimize your profile. Do it once, make it look phenomenal. Just it needs to look good. That's the first thing. Profile. Then start by expanding your network strategically. Okay, you don't, again, it's about quality, not quantity, but you do want to increase your connections.
Hmm.
Why is that? Every time that you're adding up new connection, the next time you're posting, the last connections you had will most likely be the people that will encounter your post. So you're actually putting yourself out there for your new connections. So that's an amazing thing to do. That's the second. Then an active fly on the wall. I always like to call it. I'm telling to my students, be active fly on the wall. Don't start posting yet. Be a fly on the wall. Observe, see what others are doing, and then from time to time comment. Comments at the moment are an amazing growth hacking tool. Today, when you're commenting thoughtfully on others people post, you can see how many impressions you got to your comment, so you can actually ride the wave of someone else. So if
Okay.
this someone else is, let's say, is well connected to the VC field or startups, and you're commenting on his or her post, their network will see your comment. So you can build authority through
Okay.
their post. So comments are also super useful for you. Only then, after you're gonna do those three steps, optimize your profile, expand your network, and be an active fly on the wall. Then you can start sharing your thoughts and not just post, like we discussed
Okay.
earlier.
That's really interesting about how you can see how many impressions you get on your comments. I would
Yeah,
think it's
it's
probably
really
really,
cool.
Yeah, it's probably really important to add a valuable takeaway like in the comments or to maybe continue the conversation. Is that something you see people doing too?
Yeah, because every time that I'm seeing that my comments is getting some likes or stuff, I'm actually seeing people starting to connect with me. And if
Okay.
they don't, I'm seeing their likes, so I'm gonna just go ahead and connect with them.
Hmm.
So that's just an amazing growth hack to expand your network and reach out to new people.
Thanks for sharing that with us. And as we wrap up this episode, where can everybody connect with you and learn more about your company and what you do?
Sure thing. So, my company, Maya Digital, we are a LinkedIn agency focusing on leveraging LinkedIn paid ads, company pages, thought leadership, and employer branding. We're
Great.
working globally and we're helping businesses to leverage their LinkedIn.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Shay. I really appreciate it. I'm
Thank
excited
you
to
so
share this
much for
episode.
having me.
What a great episode. If there's one takeaway from today, it's that LinkedIn isn't about posting more. It's about showing up with clarity, consistency, and real perspective. For everyone listening, if you want to turn your LinkedIn presence into actual opportunities, whether that's leads, partnerships, or authority, Shay is definitely someone you need to learn from. Shay, thank you for sharing your insights today. And to our listeners, if you got value from this episode, share it with someone who's still treating LinkedIn like a resume. They may need to hear this. We'll see you in the next episode. Until next time, keep showing up, keep creating, and keep building your story.